1 in every second pill dispensed in the US is made in India. 1 in 3 in the Europe. So we have a very large role to play in terms of creating affordable access to healthcare.
Three biggest issues in pharma are the 3 A's, right? The awareness, the access and the affordability. We can solve these 3 issues only if we put the tech in healthcare.
The most recent announcement of the research scheme of 1 lakh crore, I think we are most excited to see the details about that, and to the goal of 2047, it will be a pretty big catalyst.
We are in conversation today with 3 new business leaders of Indian pharma. We have Aman Mehta, the Managing Director at Torrent Pharma, Zydus Lifesciences Managing Director Sharvil Patel, and Namita Thapar, someone you have seen on Shark Tank India. But Namita is also the Executive Director at Emcure Pharma. In the second episode of a brand new show, Corner Office Conversation, I talked to them about ideas that will take the industry to the next level, what needs to be done to push innovation, and of course, the China factor. It's Monday, the 4th of August. I am your host, Vikas Dandekar. So, Aman, it has to start with you. Straight out of a very big deal. I know you will have restrictions of how much you can speak, but what are your initial thoughts? Where do you see things heading?
No, I think the excitement is quite high within the family and the company. Looking forward to the process to be completed at the earliest possible, and then getting into the work for the next 1 or 2 years.
Building on the foundations that have been done by, the generations that have actually built this organization, I'll ask Namita. You have actually spoken a lot about holistic healthcare, startups. What do you think is changing when we speak about the Indian pharma industry and how it can serve better?
I think patient centricity has become very big. A lot of collaboration in terms of private-public partnership is happening. IP has played a very big role in that. And also focus on newer therapies, whether it's biologics, stem cell therapy, so more innovation-driven. All of these things are being taken to the next level now. And of course, everyone's favorite word these days, AI. So I think there are a lot of new things happening in pharma, and that's exciting.
Right. You've also honed so many skills and sharpened so many startups in your organization and elsewhere. You really put the bets in the right places. What do you think can be done better?
I know that's my favorite question, because on the tank I've got a nickname, Pharma, and I love it. But the one thing is, I get very excited when I see healthcare deals coming on the tank. And for the simple reason that I always say the 3 biggest issues in pharma are the 3 A's, right? The awareness, the access and the affordability. And the real India, which is the interiors, we can solve these 3 issues only if we put the tech in healthcare. And so I think the future is very bright, and I see a lot of us we're called the legacy players, collaborating with the really, really bright startup founders to create a new healthcare world for India. So it's very, very fascinating and something we are all looking forward to.
Right. So Sharvil, to you. Yeah. The organization which probably was in mid-90s, very small, now it's actually grown multiple fold. It's about 23,000 crore now. The revenue itself, that figure looks very baffling. What changes do you think has made it happen, and what needs to change next?
So I think it's a question of evolution and also how we have all as pharma companies come about. For the last 50 years, we've been talking about access and affordability, and as an industry, obviously we have achieved a very significant milestone with, we being the global suppliers of quality generics and medicines across the world, including complex vaccines, biologics, small molecules. So I think what has happened is India has definitely got a very significant position in the global markets. And today, 1 in every second pill dispensed in the US is made in India, 1 in 3 in the Europe. So we have a very large role to play in terms of creating affordable access to healthcare. And I think with the interventions that we are seeing both from the industry, from the government, and pushing innovation and discovery, I think that can lead to a tremendous growth. So we're quite bullish going forward, that if what got us here was very good, what can get us to 2047 could be tremendously large in terms of our growth aspirations.
Right. So while the generics gave you the bedrock of leaping into the next stage, you've also taken some steps on the innovative side. I think some of your products are already in a very advanced stages of clinical trials. Do you think that probably will be the next level of ramp up because there is just too many copies happening in the generic sector?
Yeah, I mean, we realized some years ago that, the barrier to entry on generics is going down. It's very easy for somebody to enter this field and create an impact. So I think as companies and as we grew, we decided that we would position ourselves more as a discovery led organization, and that we've been working since 2000. So while some of these things come true today, it's been 25 years since we've been putting this effort, and we have new chemical entities launched in India. We hope to replicate that in the world, but in a different way. So we are working on rare disease, orphan disease, things that are neglected, things where there are not today treatment protocols or treatments available. And I think if we can create a mark in the rare disease side or the orphan disease side, we could really create an impact. So that's what we want to drive.
Right. My next will be to you, Aman. There has been a string of deals so far as Torrent is concerned, and that also came at regular intervals. I think you've been doing deals which have really suited you well and given you the complementarity. But having said that, do you think there is a lot of crowding in the segment, and that probably also has restricted you in terms of looking outward, in terms of innovation, because there is always a pressure of shareholder value?
I think definitely the competitive intensity has gone up, the barriers to entry have come down, but the market continues to grow. So I don't think that's an issue. We have actually had a long history of discovery as Torrent, almost 20 years. I think the first kind of NC project that we started was back in the late 90s. So our effort was very long, but no fruitful results, unfortunately. So we're now just kind of recalibrating our thought process. We're trying to understand where did we go wrong, what can we do once again if we start, which I think we will at some point. But right now, again, the focus is on the integration that's up ahead. And hopefully once that's done smoothly, we will focus on innovation as well.
Sure, right. So yeah, I mean, again, I'll keep coming back to the same question of innovation. And Namita, you actually nurtured so many companies when you really do your, kind of checking and really vetting and what exactly will work. That kind of an approach has been missing from the pharma industry. So do you think there is a issue with the approach that has been taken so far over the last 25-30 years, that your flexibility to really invest in innovative research, as Aman also mentioned, of re-examining where things may have gone wrong, do you think that is something that needs to be really revived and ramped up?
You will not find better examples of entrepreneurship than you will in the pharma industry. Given our constraints of resources compared to a Pfizer or a Glaxo, we have all done our bit. I mean, at Emcure, we've done the mRNA vaccine. We were the third in the world. Fine, COVID went. That technology is being used for so many important conditions going forward. Can it be better? There's always a scope for improvement. There's always a lot that can be done. And rare diseases is, one thing you said. A friend of mine, her daughter had SMA, spinal muscular atrophy. It needs one injection, that's 14 crores. Right? Now, things like that, obviously, there is a lot of scope we can work on. But then there's a 900 crore rare disease fund that the government has, but not a penny has been disbursed because it's stuck in the court. So I think there's a lot of stuff that can happen in the country, no doubt about it, but you cannot take away credit from pharma in terms of entrepreneurship, risk-taking, and the kind of innovation that we have given.
Right. So while the new innovations are coming in millions of dollars, again, people look at Indian companies on how they can actually make it into low cost. So that's a huge responsibility to balance. So, Sharvil, so you have seen a lot from a wide angle. What do you think was missing so far?
As a country, if we really need to thrive and build an ecosystem for discovery and innovation, I think we need to do multiple things. We have to create a comprehensive network of infrastructure that is required. We need to help the regulators to think about how do we transform from just being a generic regulator towards being a regulator that looks at discovery and taking risk. The second is obviously the partnership that we require between academia, between the government institutes and industry. I think that has to be built over a period of years to see if we can have research come from different academia to companies. And the third important thing is, creating a venture fund capability or an investment fund capability in India. A lot of times when I interact with, I am happy you said, what are you investing? A lot of the time people say, what is the cost of research, or what are you spending on research? So most of the time people look at research as a spend and not as an investment. And until that kind of thinking changes, money will not flow into research as easily. I think it will happen for us. We started off obviously like a generics company, but industry, but I can see that in the next, at least by 2047, we have an aspiration as industry to have 100 drugs as new discovered or meeting unmet needs. So I think that is the ambition, bold ambition that IPA has taken, the industry has taken, and so we are all sort of working to see how do we collaborate with the government, and if that can be catalyzed, I think we can see from today us being a $60 billion kind of industry, we can be definitely a $400 to $450 billion industry in 2047 if some of these things fall in place.
Yeah, you've been thinking ahead of the curve for sure on and a lot of adventures also, vaccines, CDMOs, consumers. You took a bold step of taking up the Complan brands. With those so many risks that you have taken, do you think you've really been able to scale to the level that you would have wanted?
So if I can talk maybe not the past, but let's talk a little bit about the future. The view at Zydus and at the board level and at what we have thought through is we have a good robust pipeline to continue to fuel what we do today. So we don't feel that we need to add other capabilities in the current stream of businesses. Many times only medicines don't solve for chronic ailments. And with new ailments like autoimmune diseases, oncology, you know that a single drug is not going to be the one that's going to lead to an outcome. So if you want to create lasting outcomes, then you have to talk about how do you play in a larger ecosystem which has diagnostics, which has pharmaceuticals, which has care, which has treatment protocols, and which has a more connected ecosystem that one needs to create. And if you do that, I think you can see better outcomes for patients. The second is obviously we love technology. So we invested in biologics and vaccines, and we are very happy with that investment. Today, we can proudly say that we have the largest number of biologics on market, 13 plus molecules and biosimilars. And we are also going outside India in terms of creating access for these drugs. I think same in vaccines. We have now at least 2 drugs pre-qualified by WHO and probably 2 more in the future. The diversification is very essential for us because we believe that we need to play in a larger ecosystem. We also want to diversify to reduce risk. So both whether it's a geographical risk or a business risk, I think it's important to do so. And we are only playing in smart adjacencies. So we are not completely venturing in out of the world kind of stuff. Right. We are doing things that we believe caters to the same kind of customers also. So I think all of that is more thought through, I would say.
The Amplitude deal looked a little different from a normal deal that a pharma company will do on the devices side. That was a very big difference to what Zydus has been doing. So that also you will categorize as a adjacency.
Yeah, so I think India has a very buoyant medical devices opportunity. China obviously has taken an important step there. If you look at what we have done in pharmaceuticals, I think that same opportunity exists in the med devices side, and it is a sunrise sector that's already been identified by the government of India. I think we got very excited with Amplitude. It sort of has similar things to our DNA. It's highly technology oriented business that is there. We see a strong market share in a market that they are present in, and our view has been that on going forward, what we like to do is global first. So we don't want to say let's build India, then let's build the world. We want to say we'll go to the world, we'll bring take India to the world or bring those products from there to India. So we want to sort of leapfrog and not go through that way.
So on the policy front, Aman, there is a lot of positive movement which is being seen from the government also. There was a PLI scheme which actually propped up a lot of bulk drug industry. Now there is talk about innovation fund also, the PRIP fund as they call it. How do you think these things will really help companies like yours?
I think the PLI schemes have been very, very advantageous. One, to ensure continuity of supply, and second, to build more robust supply chains. So it's definitely a lot of great thought and work that's gone into it. The most recent announcement of the research scheme of 1 lakh crore, I think, we are most excited to see the details about that. We believe pharma and biotech should have a significant role in that. And I think the much awaited risk capital that's been kind of either not adequate or missing to a degree that it should have been, that should start coming in. And to the goal of 2047, it'll be a pretty big catalyst.
Right. Your dependence on the US has been much lesser than what all the top leading companies have been. Do you think that probably has saved you from a lot of problems that could have been faced, or do you think you really want to take a big leap there? Because there has been situations where companies have said that this is getting too difficult for us to handle, so we'd like to see the market minus the US, or probably lesser dependence on the US.
No, I think as a short-term kind of benefit, certainly it helped us, but long-term, I don't think so. We had to do what we had to do for various reasons. This is about 5-7 years ago. It was a strategic call. We believe that there is still a lot more that we can do in the US and we should do in the US, because the opportunity does still kind of keep presenting itself. So yeah, I would feel that maybe for the time that it was decided, we felt it was okay. But going forward, we will definitely try to change that.
So you will really look at the US?
At a larger presence in the US, so which will obviously require some kind of appropriate investment as well over time, nothing kind of immediate.
Namita, to you, you've been advocating greater responsibilities to women, bigger role in leadership. It has been up to your expectations. Do you think things are changing?
It's absolutely not anywhere close to my expectations, and it's absolutely not changing at the pace it should be. But I'm an optimist, so we have to keep doing what we can. The reality is that there are two aspects to it, right? So one is the representation in the workforce, very dismal, very poor. A lot needs to be changed. I'm sitting here discussing women's health portfolio, and I'm discussing menopause and PCOS, and there's not a single woman in the room. How are you going to come up with the right communication, right? What stigmas you need to be broken if you don't have that perspective in the room? Second is the women's health. So for several years now, World Economic Forum does a study with 155 countries, and India always ranks bottom 2 in women's health. And that hasn't changed. Nothing's changed in the last several years. Why are we in the bottom 2? Why do we not prioritize women's health? Why isn't that level of awareness and patient centricity happening for women? So I think both areas, both from a representation at the workforce, as well as women taking more accountability and prioritizing their health, very, very poor. And so it's definitely not even close to where it needs to be. I had a very tough journey with menopause, and in spite of being in healthcare for 30 years, I had no idea what it entailed. So there's a lack of education, lack of awareness, lack of a lot of stigmas.
And very few people to speak about it.
Because I've been doing a podcast for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
And so many patients who we get on the podcast, a night before the podcast cancel on me. They get cold feet and they don't want to come and speak about their journey. So that's a level of silence. If we don't break that, we're not going to get very far.
True, very true. It's a fantastic initiative. And we are all very familiar with your podcasts on women's health. Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Right. So the quintessential question about China, which I can't leave because it's been 20-25 years of constant tug of war. Who is ahead and who is not? Now the contours are very well defined. Global companies are actually rushing to them. Small companies, they started probably around the same level at the same time 20 years ago. Now they are much ahead. What changed?
the very critical role that the government played in terms of identifying the need to build a future in terms of going beyond the APIs and generics. I think they put significant investment both in academia, which also propelled R&D and research, and also they created a huge venture fund, first backed by the government, and then obviously more participation happened and created a thriving ecosystem. So when I look at that, I don't think that is what's happening in China. I get excited that if some of this we can even do it better, faster, quicker, and create an impact. Because if you say for generics, we are undisputed leaders in this field, and so there is a rite of passage for us to also create this when it comes to discovery and all of these areas. But we need everything. As we need regulation, we need a better stable pricing, we need an Indian market that is accessible so that innovation can thrive, and then obviously, as I always say, funding is necessary for taking risk.
So, Namita, what are the two most important things you have taken from your father?
Even at 74, he's one of the most driven people I've met. And I think that's a lot like me. I'm a little too driven. And second is attention to detail. You need to have that depth. So I think these are the two things I've taken from him.
Sure. Sharvil.
So, for me, I think the biggest thing I saw is in 95 when we split as a company, he came up with this line saying, we build people to build a business. And I think that has been true to his sort of way of doing things.
So, next to you, what are the things that you would not like to take forward from your father?
So I think he really didn't kind of take any time off till he was maybe almost 50. So it was work, home. So obviously we got a lot of time with him, but we don't think he got a lot of time off, right? So I think and he sacrificed a lot. So maybe I would try to avoid that. So I think I'm already avoiding it. So
yeah, sure. Which is good. Yeah. And one more.
Again, the multiple businesses, it's tough. I can see how much work it takes to focus on one business. So I would want to, at least for the near term, focus on one sector rather than kind of many sectors, because at least that gives a lot more bandwidth within one company.
Sure. Namita.
For him, it's always like you are committed only if you do Emcure 24/7. Like anything you do outside of Emcure is like almost like a sense of betrayal. And I've done a lot of things outside Emcure, whether it's my entrepreneurship academy, my health podcast, Shark Tank, and I feel that actually makes you a stronger leader at Emcure. So we butt heads on these kind of leadership philosophies, but overall, all good.
Perfect. What management style would you prefer to follow, continuity or disruptive?
I don't think in my company either or can work. I think for businesses that are stable, obviously continuity is what matters. But I think anything new you want to do, you have to be a little bit disruptive, I would say. So I wouldn't say either or is the right answer for my organization. I think what you get energy from is disruptive stuff, doing things which are new and different. But as a company, we need to work on both.
Right.
I think it'll have to be disruptive because I mainly look at the India business and it's the same 5,000 reps going and saying Dr. Saab, and then there are 20 reps outside and you don't know which one is a Zydus or the Torrent and Emcure, and it's crazy. It just seems so primitive, right? So I think unless we don't put a little FMCG tadka and a little startup flavor to the way our reps talk and to the way we engage doctors and a little bit of technology, it's just, I think there needs to be disruption.
Disruption is definitely happening at Torrent.
In a way, yeah, but if you really think about it, it's continuity. Right. So we would kind of look at it as continuing what's good and disrupting what's not there. So I don't think we've done much of that in a meaningful way so far. But if the conviction is high and the potential of the benefits are large enough, then disruption could be an option. But by and large, continuity is what we would follow.
Sure. Thank you so much, and may the industry grow and get bigger and better and more relevant to the Indian population and go capture the world. So thank you so much. This is exactly what we had wanted to have from the three of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a very engaging discussion. We heard all the three leaders talk about some clear ideas for the future. one of which is shifting gears to the innovation side. Also, some interesting points came up on what new initiatives they want to take up and not carry forward from the past. Hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed talking. This episode was produced by Anirban Chaudhary and Vinay Joshi, sound designed by Amrit Reggie. Keep listening to the Corner Office Conversation every alternate Monday, wherever you get your podcast. This is Vikas Dandekar signing off. Have a good week.